So most people are in now, and as our President Cecilia was mentioning, that this is going to be the last Friday night talk here for 3 months by the monks or the nuns. There are still going to be talks here, but by different speakers from different traditions, as we usually do here. Even though this is a Buddhist center, it's amazing just who we invite here under 3 months. When the monks are away, the committee will play. No, it's very good to actually to see. Sometimes Christian priests, Abbot Placid used to come here, and the Archbishop used to come here, and Muslim used to give a talk here, and all sorts of interesting people during our retreat period. But the reason why, so please keep coming here, it's very interesting to see a wider picture of things. But the reason why this is the last talk for 3 months is because of a tradition ever since the beginning of Buddhism over 2,500 years ago. They would always have this tradition every year for the monastic community to go and retreat. And there's an important reason for that, and that is that everybody should also have this idea of retreat in their life. Because you may think, oh, it's so nice for you monks up in the monastery, especially for me. You've got this wonderful place, you can sit there and meditate all day with no cares. Ha ha ha. That's not actually how it is. I have to work really, really hard. One of the reasons is because I've been here the longest, so I know everything which is going on, and the continuity. And so sometimes people, from our committee, all volunteers, they come in, they don't know what happened last year, the year before, so I'm that go-to person. And in the end, anything which goes wrong, I'm the one who has to carry the can. The buck stops with me. I don't really mind that so much. In fact, I thought no more things should go wrong in the world, because it'd be wonderful if it went really, really wrong and some auditor came in and someone had to go to prison. I put my hand up, I volunteer. Because in prison I'd have such a wonderful, peaceful time. In prison you wouldn't have to do any work, you wouldn't get people coming to ask you questions on their marriage, and I've never been married, why you do that I don't really know. Or about their business problems, I've never had a proper job. Or their children, there was children problems, I don't have any children. Or about their health issues, I'm really healthy, I haven't had sickness for years. Or about all these other things which people ask me about, why do you ask me for? But if I went to jail and prison, I'd be free of all that and have a wonderful time. And if I ever needed a retreat being in jail, it's so easy, you just have to punch a prison officer and you get solitary confinement, which is the same as retreat for 3 months. So it'd be a wonderful thing to do that. But, it's only joking around, but the purpose is that it's wonderful that everybody should have time off in their life. And one of the biggest problems of human beings, and some of the fundamental reasons why people have these problems in the first place, is they don't take enough rest. And it just comes to my mind, there was, I think in the first book I wrote, there was a quotation there from a French philosopher and mathematician, I think it was Pierre Laplace, who said all the problems of mankind, they always used mankind in those days, all the problems of humankind come from them not knowing how to sit still. I thought, wow, that's very profound. This is a mathematician and philosopher from France about 200, 250 years ago, maybe longer, cannot remember now. But all the problems come because we don't know how to sit still and just take a break from the busyness of our lives. And so we're actually showing that by example. 3 months, we're going to be off at Serpentine, the nuns are going to be off at Dhammaloka. Even though I'm still going to be teaching all the monks there and just doing other little bits and pieces from time to time, I always tell people, as I'll tell people tomorrow, if you go to our ceremony to begin the rains, we make just one request from you during the 3-month period. And that request is, please, out of gratitude and out of compassion to the monks and nuns who serve you for 9 months, please do not die. Please put that off until after the rains retreat, because otherwise we have to come out and do your funeral ceremonies for you. And sometimes I tell this every year, and some people are just so selfish. They go and die when they want to die, with no gratitude, no concern for the monks and the nuns, which means we have to come out and do all these ceremonies and stuff. So please, I don't ask very much of you. So please, if you're going to die, you've got another few days. And if you can't do it in the next few days, put it off until the end of the retreat, okay, in November. Thank you very much. Okay, so it's nice to have a bit of humour as well, because we're going to spend a lot of time just meditating, being peaceful. All my travelling gets stopped, for a while. So we do this for important reasons, because, we have to tell other people that we don't just teach by words, we want to teach by example as well. We teach other people just to stop and pause in life. And that's what we want you to do as well. There was, just in the car coming up, one of the, where is he, Derek, over there, he was saying when he was growing up in Melbourne, his mother taught him this beautiful little technique. And please, your mother, I know her very well, she should be very proud that I'm mentioning her and this little technique. Because when they were growing up as kids, whenever they come to a red traffic light, their mother would say, if you smile at the red traffic light, it will turn green much quicker. And I thought, what a very skillful message that was to kids. So you try that. When you get caught in a traffic jam, if you smile, the cars will go faster. If you get into a red traffic light and smile, they will turn green much quicker. What a beautiful attitude that is in life. Because so much of our life, just we get so frustrated. So smile at the traffic lights, at the log jams, at the difficulties in life, and then they don't last so long. So that's where we have these beautiful times we can stop, we appreciate them. Because otherwise we keep going all year round, and you know what that does to you? And it does it to me as well. Sometimes I work so hard, there's all this stuff which I have to do, all these problems I have to solve. And sometimes our poor committee, especially our poor president, trying to organise this conference in a couple of weeks, that's a huge burden. I'm surprised she hasn't losing her hair yet. That's what happened to me, just tearing all my hair out. But, that sometimes we just take a break. Even if it's just half an hour. And that is so important, to take the breaks in life. I'm going to repeat now an old story, but this just fits in here. And it reminds me because I was at a ceremony. This is really nice. All these stories which I tell you here, they go on the internet, they go around and around. And it just shows, what goes around comes around. Because I was doing a little ceremony for the Thai community. In November, they have this ceremony called Loi Graton, where they put these little boats in the river with wishes in, and they send it out to the river gods, hopefully that, their mother can get cured of cancer or something else which happens. It's, a beautiful little ceremony which they have in Thailand. And so they were doing this little ceremony over in, where was it called? Somewhere down the Esplanade somewhere. And of course, when we have ceremonies, we have to have VIPs. And a VIP was a local state member for Perth, I think Elena Evangelina or something. And so she had to be a welcoming to all of the Thai community, who are doing this ceremony. And she gave her speech. It's a wonderful multicultural place we have here in Perth. And he's saying that I heard this from a very wise man, not wise monk, wise man. She said, and I want to share it with you here, said the secret of stress is when you have a cup of water and it's too heavy, that you don't know how to put it down. Because the longer you hold a cup of water, the heavier it feels. After 1 minute, your arm starts to ache. After 2 minutes, you're in pain. After 3 minutes, you'll have to go to hospital because you're very stupid. When the cup gets too heavy to hold, put it down and relax and rest. Now, how many times have you heard that? You know exactly where it came from. It came from me. I invented that story years ago. And it was really funny to see me being taught my own story. But I was really proud of that. Yeah, it's gone all the way around. And now I hear it myself. Of course, I always tell it much better. But nevertheless, it was wonderful to see that. And how true that is in life. If life is only heavy, is only stressful, is only a burden because you hold it for too long and you don't know how to let it go, to put it down and take a rest, to have a retreat for half an hour, or even a day, or a weekend, or a week. Why not? Because I'm too busy. I can't take the time. There's so much to do. There's so many other things which I have to achieve in life. You monks sitting there doing nothing all day while the world goes crazy, while the Buddhist Society of Western Australia just falls apart, where the Dhammaloka Centre just starts to crumble. No. It's the opposite which actually happens. I've got many stories about this which people keep telling me. They keep sending me these interesting emails, and one of them, which I told us in Armadale, I was just cleaning up my room, and there's all these papers which sometimes I only get round to later on. I always say, just my idea of cleanliness is before you wash the dishes, when you go home, you must count how many dishes are clean and compare them to how many dishes which are dirty. And if the clean ones outnumber the dirty ones, quit while you're ahead. That's my philosophy in life. Now, can you do that? No, I've got to do it, get it out of the way. No, you can't stand jobs being left. Because you tend to worry about them. What's wrong with a couple of dirty dishes? Or even a dozen? You've got so many clean ones. And so my other saying, and this is really important if you want to understand about how to let the cup of water down. Never do today what you can put off until tomorrow because you might die tonight. Imagine that. This is your last day on earth. And most people don't know when they're going to die. It's supposed to be your last day tonight. And what do you do on your last day of life? Vacuum the carpet, clean the dishes. Crikey, what a waste. Because don't we know how just to relax and let things go and have some peace? But of course people say, oh no, it's too busy, I've got too much to do. Exactly. That is why we need to take retreats, because we're really busy. If I wasn't so busy and doing so much and going around the world looking after so many people, writing so many books, going on so many YouTubes, organizing so much, blah, blah, blah. If I wasn't so busy, I wouldn't need a retreat. But because I'm busy, I need that retreat. Because what happens after you go on a retreat, even just for a few days, or on half an hour, your brain rests. And if it doesn't rest, how can it do any work? This is an obvious thing which I've seen in my own life. There are times when you're working really, really, really hard. You get a bit grumpy, you get a bit sort of negative, and you get incredibly tired. And what happens is your output goes down. The quality of your work is no good because your brain is not working to its maximum efficiency. I see that so often, especially, please, with the kids at school. Now, you've seen your kids staying up late into the night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock doing assignments. Please tell your kids that, if it gets past 11 o'clock, you're just sitting in front of the computer. If you are writing anything, it's rubbish. It's not quality. And all you need to do is take a break, take a rest, go to sleep. Do it in the morning time. And when you're rested and your brain is working at its optimal potential, you get that work done so quickly. The rest is called investment of time. You get more work done, higher quality, after you've rested your brain. So my output will be much better after the retreat. when I've rested, then I can really give some good talks. Who knows? Even some new jokes. That's very, very rare to find a new joke. But or some new stories, who knows? But what happens when you're really tired, you just get the old ones out. But what's really important is we understand the importance of rest for everybody, in our world. And if we could rest much more, you would find simple things, just like your relationship with your partner, would go much, much better. I was actually going on with this article which I found on my desk, and that was United States, the health department. They were noticing with the incidence of cardiac arrest, heart attacks and other cardiac problems. They saw that, you can generally see just the flow of cardiac problems throughout this big country over the year. There was a few times there were some really anomalous spikes. A couple of days here, a couple of days there, where the cardiac problems just plummeted. And no one knew why. Why? It wasn't like on weekends or holidays or it was a cold spell. They couldn't find a reason why these 2 days and this time of the year, another 3 days, another time of the year, why there was not so many problems and deaths from cardiac failure. Until someone found the reason. They compared and it matched perfectly. That the times when there was not so many cardiac problems matched when all the top cardiac specialists were off on a conference. When they weren't working. And that again was showing something. When they're not on the job, people are getting much better. Please, I apologize here for any doctors. But isn't this telling us something? It's telling us that sometimes just doing nothing, relaxing, resting, not interfering, just letting things be for a few moments is one of the greatest causes of physical health and emotional well-being. The secret of happiness is to learn how to do nothing. Interesting. Because I see people go off on these retreats and they just relax and rest and they do a bit of meditation here, a bit of meditation there, they go for walks. When they go back, I get all of these emails from their partners. Thank you so much. My wife is new and improved. Because she's been on a retreat, she's relaxed and rested. So this is actually one of the reasons why we learn how to have our time in our lives, to do nothing. This is an important part of the Buddhist practice. It's not just coming to listen to talks. What's the point of listening to talks when it doesn't change your life? And how many people are stressed out? They've got cancers, they've got anger problems, they've got addiction problems, too much alcohol, drugs. Why? And you want to get to the heart of these things. And they're not happy, they're not content. Why? Because you're going too fast. You don't have much rest or peace at all in your life. Why? People say there's too much to be done. Wrong. The cause of the stress in modern life is not because people have too much to do. It's because they don't know how to rest in between. In ancient Buddhism, traditional Buddhism, this is a really lovely story. So I was reminded of this, when some Laotian people came to visit our monastery. And, in the northeast of Thailand where I was, it was like a Laotian area basically, but in particular, there was one monk I grew up with, and you may remember him, Titapo. He was this English guy, and he was actually living in the Laotian second city of Luang Prabang before, during, and after, the Vietnam War period. So he's right there in the middle, during the war and after the war when the communists took over. And he told me this story of how they do war in Laos, before the Vietnamese and the Russians came in. And he said it was totally different than anything he'd ever expected. And this is how Buddhists fight a war. Because he was in one of these restaurants. These aren't restaurants like, you have in the big restaurants in Perth. These are bamboo and thatch, where you can see the food being cooked. It's very simple but really delicious. So he was having his lunch in the restaurant. He felt quite safe because the government soldiers were having their lunch at a table close by. And they had their machine guns against the wall, because they had to. They were fighting a war against the communist soldiers. And they were having their lunch. And then he saw, to his horror, the communist soldiers come in with their guns. And this was a war. And he went to dive under the table. But the communists, the Patetlao they were called at the time, the communist soldiers, they just went to another table, put their guns against the wall, and ordered their lunch. Because in Laos, war stops for lunch. And if you know that culture, the old Buddhist culture, you've got to fight. And they had some sort of agreement that, okay, now when lunch is finished, you go that way, we'll go the other way, because they weren't really into fighting. They're just carrying their guns and looking the part, but, it was only just, I think, when the foreigners came in, they got serious. But that was a wonderful thing. Okay, important thing, war. Please stop for lunch. And if they can do that with such a stressful situation, can't we stop for lunch? When we're working? And how many people can have an hour lunch? Half an hour lunch. No, you're in front of the computer screen when you're having your lunch, working while you're supposed to be eating something. Is that good for your health? Of course not. So if the Laotian Buddhists can stop during a war for lunch, surely you can stop for lunch at your workstation, at whatever work you have. And it's important for you, because if you can enjoy your lunch, it means you're resting, which means afterwards you can use your brain much better. And on the weekend, this weekend, what are you doing? As well as going to Bodhinyana on Sunday, which is really, really important, because you don't know what it's like if you miss it. It'll be just the opportunity of a lifetime. There's so many monks there, and quite frankly, this is powerful chanting. We have all these monks there, and they do all this incredible chanting there, and it really, really is, really, really, really powerful stuff. And if you don't believe me, I've got this other article somewhere, and this was from Science in Taiwan, the power of Buddhist chanting. Because they used ducks, and they chanted to ducks. That was one group, and the other ducks were not receiving Buddhist chanting. And the ones who received, the ones who didn't receive the Buddhist chanting, I think they laid an egg every 2 or 3 days. But the ones who received chanting, they laid an egg sort of every other day. Their productivity went up quite considerably. The ducks laid more eggs when they listened to Buddhist chanting. So I remember telling that story years ago when we had just a VIP came. She was the CEO of our local Shire of Serpentine Jarrahdale. I told that to her. I said, this is, and I've got the journal. I think it was a West Australian scientific journal. When ducks receive Buddhist chanting, they lay more eggs. Proven. And so I told that to her, and you wouldn't believe it. Next year she came there, she was pregnant. A true story. So, it's the monks, it's our fault. So any one of you trying to conceive or something, just please come on Sunday. The chanting is very, very powerful. Makes you more productive. So, if your business or your work is not going so well, come there. It's not just laying eggs, it's everything gets much more productive. So very, very powerful chanting. So, and it's also for, how many monks we got there? I thought it was 23. 23 monks. It's very rare to find. It's not in any Western country got so many monks. Powerful chanting. Zapping you from all angles. Wow! That can't be missed. So anyway, that's one good reason to go there. But if you're not going there, what else are you going to do on the weekend? Have you got all this list of things you have to do? If you have lists of things to do, please put number 1 on the list of things to do this weekend. These 7 letters, NOTHING. Get that out of the way first before you do something else. Isn't it important that you can rest and learn how to do nothing? Otherwise, you are going to get sick. You're going to get a pain in the butt for the person you live with. You are going to, even your dog is going to hate you. Look at dogs. They're great teachers for you, aren't they? Look at a dog. Does a dog need a cup of coffee when it wakes up in the morning? No, you do. Otherwise, you're a pain in the butt to live with. The dog just wakes up without a cup of coffee and licks you. Does a dog demand what it eats? Dog eats anything. What else does a dog do? Does a dog ever get angry at you? Even if you come home late, the dog still licks you. So the dogs are great, and the dogs can sleep anywhere. I don't know, your bed, which you probably bought, special bed for this and for that, and dogs sleep on anywhere. Aren't dogs teaching you just how to be content and happy and play around? Do dogs have a list of what they have to do on the weekend? So that's why dogs are very happy. There's this one guy here, years ago, he told me, said in his next life, because he believed in reincarnation, in his next life he wants to be reborn as a dog in Australia. So what do you want to be reborn as a dog for? Because traditionally that's not a good rebirth. So what do you want to be reborn as a dog in Australia for? He said, well look, number 1, I don't have to go to school, I don't have to go to work, I can lay around all day, I can eat, whenever I want, and, I've just got nothing to do. I can watch the TV with other people, and all I have to do is get my head patted every now and again, and that's the only responsibilities and duties I have. And when I heard that, I said, hey, you got a point there. But then I told him, I said, hey, one moment. Because I told him, in Australia, most dogs, they have to go to the vet after a few weeks, to get desexed. When I told him that, he said, maybe I don't want to be a dog in my next life. That's the part he didn't like. At least some of these animals, they know how to let go and to be relaxed. Why is it in our modern world we just can't do that anymore? We don't know how to retreat. And because we don't know how to retreat in our daily life, we get very tense. And what are you working so hard for anyway? Honestly. If your housework is too much, it means you've got too big a house. Downsize. If your garden just takes too much work, get an apartment. If you want to go to a garden, go to King's Park. You can just enjoy it and other people mow the lawn. If you want a swimming pool, go to BT Park or go to the beach or something. And the swimming pool's all there for you. The people are actually crazy, just the size of their houses and all the stuff they have in there. What do you need all that stuff for? And that is one of the reasons you're stressed out, to maintain, even to get it in the first place, and to amass all the money to buy such a thing. No wonder people are stressed out. Apparently, I read this, when people tell me all these interesting statistics, the biggest houses in the world, on average, you know where they are? Here in Australia. Australia has the biggest houses in any country in the whole world. What are you doing that for? Not me. You can come on Sunday, you can see my house. Many of you have been in there, my cave. It's a small cave, that's where I live. So easy, don't have any housework. Maybe 10 minutes and it's all done. So, keep it simple, and then you can have more rest. And sometimes, what do you want all this stuff for? So, what you really need in life is peace of mind. We need time. And even I need time. Can never get all my jobs done. So what do? This is another great teaching. Fits in here. Many of you heard it before, but one of the best. And many of you obviously practice this. the monk in Thailand, years and years and years ago, building his hall, came to the rains retreat, where we're going to start soon. He sent all the builders home. Come back in 3 months' time, because we want peace and quiet during the next 3 months. And a couple of days later, a visitor came and saw the hall and said, "Oh, when is your hall going to be finished?" And the monk said, "It is finished." "It's finished," he said. "There's no roof on. There's no glass in the windows. There's bits of timber and cement bags lying all over the place. Are you going to leave it like this? Is this some sort of modern Buddhist art, some statement about..." He said, "No," he said. "What's done is finished." And then he went off to meditate. Now, I love that story, and I repeat it because that's really profound. In life, what's done is finished. That's the only way you can finish your jobs, Mr. Secretary. What's done today is finished. Relax. Otherwise, it's never done. All the work you have at home, with your family, with your life, with your career, with your health, with all this stuff which you have to do, is it ever finished? Honestly? Only when you say it is. You can make it finished by saying, what's done is finished, and give yourself a break. That's the only way to get things out of the way. I'll get the dishes done, I'll get the emails done, I'll get my room tidied up, I'll take the garbage out, I will just mow the lawn, I'll get all my jobs done, and then I'll have a break. People like that, the only time they can have a break is in the grave. That is why I noticed this years ago. In a place like Perth, there are only two places you see people resting in peace. One is a cemetery, and the other one is in our monasteries. That's the only... resting in peace. That's the only place people rest in peace. Isn't that a terrible thing in our life? We have to die before we rest in peace. And you can't enjoy it then. So for goodness sake, rest in peace while you're still alive. This weekend, okay? So you can put a sign up on your door, rest in peace, Samantha. And they say, "Oh God, you're dead?" "No, I'm not, just resting in peace, okay? Having a nice weekend off." So that's what I'm doing. The next 3 months, Ajahn Brahm, rest in peace. Oh, so they'll let the word go out on the internet, Ajahn Brahm is resting in peace. And people, "Oh, it's so sad, he's dead." He's not dead. He's just resting in peace, because that's what a monk should do. There's two places, remember, where you rest in peace, in a monastery or in a grave. So I'm going to do it in the monastery. But you can do it in your house. But you say, "Oh, it's so hard to rest in peace. There's so much stuff to be done." And even I tell you, what's done is finished. You still find it difficult. You know why? It is because you are an owner, not a visitor. This is my other great story I've said before. My problem, again, having too much responsibility. Come here, you have to answer all the questions for the city centre. Go to Dhammaloka, there's more problems in Dhammaloka. And go to Singapore, and more problems over there. And then you go back to Serpentine, there's problems over there. And then you go over the road to a retreat centre, problems over there, there's problems everywhere. And I was working too hard, really hard. And when people like you guys, girls, you come and visit me in Bodhinyana Monastery, and you'd always say, "Oh, this is such a peaceful place. You're so lucky to live among the trees and the birds and nothing to do." And I'd look at you and say, "You crazy? This is not peaceful. This is my workplace. I've got to answer all these emails, all these questions, talk to the monks, train them, look after the builders, look after the shire, do all of this and do all of that. Are you kidding? This is a crazy place to live in a monastery if you're the boss." And I realized what I was doing. I was very wrong. I was making a big mistake. You could enjoy Bodhinyana Monastery, my monastery where I live. I couldn't. There's something wrong there. So, I found the solution, and I'm going to share the solution with you. Brilliant solution. I decided one morning a week, on a Monday, I would not be the abbot, but I would pretend to be a visitor, just like you. I pretended to be a visitor. It was great, because people would come and say, Ajahn Brahm, we need some advice. Sorry, I'm not Ajahn Brahm today. I'm only visiting. There's a tree fallen on the path. Not my problem. I'm only visiting. I don't own the place. Not my problem. A monk would say, I've fallen in love. I want to disrobe. Not my problem. The president would say, I've heard the sweet voice of Jesus. I'm going to convert. Not my problem. That was wonderful. And so for one morning a week, I could see Bodhinyana Monastery exactly like you see it. Peaceful, beautiful, serene. Because that one morning I didn't own it. I was only visiting. I thought that is the secret for having a retreat. If you own your house, there's never an end to all the work which has to be done. There's always something new to be done, because it's your house. So just pretend, like I do. Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, when you get up in the morning, pretend, I'm only visiting today. If you're visiting somebody's house, how many of you, quite honestly, if you visit a friend's house, how many of you wash the dishes for them, vacuum the carpet, take the garbage out, mow the lawns, and dust everything down? If you do, you're crazy. You're mad. You should be in Greylands. That's the place where crazy people go. But anyway, I was mentally, whatever, I'd better be careful what I say, but please, don't want you to go there. I know you'll end up there if you keep busy like that. So, if you go to somebody else's house, that's their job. That's their job to wash up and to clean, because, you don't own the place. Now you understand how to have a rest in your own house. One morning a week, be a visitor, rather than an owner. Then you can have some peace. Now, your body. Can't you just be a visitor to your body rather than an owner? So at least one morning a week, you don't have to brush your hair. I'm gonna get into trouble here. If you're only visiting, imagine that you could leave your body and go to somebody else's body just for a morning. What would you do? How would you react? It's not your body, so you don't have to worry if it's too fat or too thin or too ugly or too beautiful or whatever, because it's not yours. You can just enjoy. Imagine doing that for one morning. You don't worry about your sickness. You're only visiting. You don't worry about your age, about your health or whatever. You're just visiting, that's all. And this is exactly how the Buddha said. Yeah, you're visiting for a long period of time, but you're only a visitor to this body. So don't worry about it too much. You get another one after this one. Just like your car. You look after it, but you don't worry too much. People have these car crashes and they're saying, as you say as well, you okay? He said, the car was a write-off, but it was amazing. I wasn't hurt. Wonderful. The driver is more important than the car. You're more important than your body. Can you understand that? So don't worry too much about your health. And amazing, if you don't worry too much about your health, you become healthy. If you worry about it, you become sick. Isn't that the case? Worry. What you're afraid of and worry about, you usually make happen. The worry, the tension, the stress, that causes more sickness than anything else. Just don't worry about it. As my teacher would always say when he came to visit me in hospital, I was really sick. I had typhus fever. I was terrible. And when what he said to me, Bhamawangsa, you'll either get better or you'll die. Solve the problem. The sickness don't last. And if you die, you get another body, maybe a much better one next time. depending upon, just like a car. A car, if you pay your insurance premiums, you get a good policy. Then, if your car gets stolen or smashed up, you get a much better car next time. If you don't pay your insurance policy, then the next time you get an old Bob. Just the same way here, the insurance policy is a donation box in the back. If you don't put enough donation in the box there, your next life, I don't know what your body's going to be like. So keep up your insurance premiums, your good karma payments up. Otherwise, I can't promise anything. And you see these people, very ugly, very sickly, and this what happened because they never gave the donations into the box. I should go on like that. But, okay, you're only visiting your body. Now, what gets very interesting, because I always like to start the talks in easy stuff and go deeper as we go along. Your meditation. You all meditated, many of you to begin with. Some you started from the beginning, some later on. How about when you meditate, you're only visiting your mind. You don't own it. What a wonderful attitude that is. So I don't need to fix it up, clean it up, change anything. Then if you just visit your mind rather than owning it, you have the same experience I have when I was only visiting my monastery instead of owning it. It was so peaceful and so beautiful when I didn't own it. Now you know the secret of meditation. Stop owning things. You're only a visitor to this mind. Because if you own it, my mind, my meditation, my practice, what happens? You see all the faults and all the things which need to be fixed up and all the business which needs to be done. You never have any peace. Like I can't have any peace in my monastery if I own it, only if I visit it. Then I can have some peace. And I can see it like you see. If you come on Sunday, it's a peaceful monastery. And that's when it's busy. When all the people go, it's really peaceful. As long as you're visiting. If you're owning it, there's so much other stuff which needs to be done. Same with your meditation. You're visiting. And if you're a visitor, everything looks so peaceful and so beautiful. You appreciate your own mind in a totally different way. So, next time you meditate, try that. I'm not doing anything. This is not work. It's the trouble with you guys. You work during the daytime, you come here and you work again. You go to, after home, you go to work again. At night time, you're working, thinking and dreaming and stuff. You get up in the morning, work. And there's a time to rest. Have some meditation. Go on retreat for half an hour. What's done is finished. I am going to relax and chill out. Just like the Laotian soldiers. Yeah, war is hard work, but lunch is more important. That was the attitude, I think, which, at least some Buddhism had filtered in even to that level of society, into the army. They knew how to take a break and have a rest. So can't you do that? So you're meditating, remember, you're only visiting. I'm only visiting so I can really appreciate. The same with Cecilia, your president and the secretary in the front. All these people who work really, really hard here. One day, come here, not as a president, as a visitor. You can really appreciate just what a beautiful centre this is. You don't have to go in the office and check the emails. You don't have to check the letters. You don't have to check anything. And then people say, but if I don't do this whole place will all go wrong and fall apart. Look, people are more important than things. Your sanity is more important than having an efficient Buddhist society. So if this place is a bit dirty every now and again, if the places are not, perfect, there's cracks in the wall, there's dirty dishes, please remember, it's not the committee's fault, it's my fault, because I tell them just to let go. If you don't get your emails answered, you don't get your membership forms in time, you don't get your receipts for your donations in time, don't worry. We're Buddhist, okay? Take it easy. It will come in time. If your receipt for your donation doesn't come this year, it will come in your next life. Don't worry about it. Tell your tax accountant. It's coming. Don't worry. And if you do get in a jam and things go wrong, remember this beautiful advice. When you go home, if you smile at the red traffic light, it changes faster. What a beautiful saying that is. Thank you for listening. Very good. Okay, any comments or questions or complaints? Here we go. We got anything from the floor? There's nothing on the internet. Hey, no internet tonight. It's all busted as usual. Business as usual at BSWA. No questions, comments? Woo, I've got away easy. Okay, so now we can pay respects to the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. And if you want to see me again, you've got to go to Serpentine because this is the last Friday night for 3 months. So if you really get desperate, you know where to go. Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Very good. And please don't forget to buy your tickets for the greatest conference on Buddhism. That's what GCB means. 2 weeks' time. Greatest conference on Buddhism. Not to be missed. You're very fortunate to be born in this lifetime so you can go to conferences on Buddhism. Wow, you've got some already.